Good afternoon. Happy Savage Saturday, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. And today, guys, we are reviewing a Kull story from the pages of the Savage Sword of Conan, issue 121. We have beautiful cover art here by Joe Jusko. So, gorgeous cover. And the story in question here is the backup feature. And Savage Sword of Conan always had a main feature, and with room permitted, they would have a backup feature. And some of those backup features are really great stories featuring other characters of Robert E. Howard, such as Red Sonja, Solomon Kane, or King Kull himself, or sometimes, like in the case of Savage Tales, when they would do Jan of the Jungle. Just something fun, something savage, something along those lines. And today, we are looking at one of my favorite Robert E. Howard creations, King Kull. I'm always looking for an excuse to include him because he's just a great character. He's a little less patient than Conan, a little more arrogant in thinking he's always right, and sometimes it costs him. So today the story is called Kull the Conqueror, Pieces of Horror. It's written by Chuck Dixon with art by Jeff Isherwood. All right, and it starts out with this guy on trial, and he is a sorcerer, and they're talking about it's quite a turnout for the death of this sorcerer. And one of the people in the court is saying it's not surprising. Oris Dejal is known the world over for his villainy as well as his sorcery. And as this guy's being led there, there's other people saying, is it any wonder half of Volusia came to see him lose his head? And Kull is sitting in his throne. He's like, let's just get this over with. And as the guy's head is put on the chopping block, he's screaming at Kull, blast you, Kull, this will not save you from my wrath. Death is not a barrier for me. So this sorcerer is already making promises to Kull. Kull rises up in his anger because he's a lot less reserved than Conan. Conan knows when to rein it in. Kull always has outbursts. He is really bad at controlling himself. And he lashes out, if there's an afterlife, Dejmal, it is hungry for your soul. Don't bore me with threats of returning. And before he is executed, he says, it is not a threat, Kull. It is indeed a shoop. And then his head is separated from his shoulders. The people are celebrating. And Kull is given directions to Brule the Spear Slayer. Because this guy cannot be buried in a normal way. So he instructs Brule that if anyone can return from the dead, it's this guy, and that all his parts need to be buried. His arms, his legs, his torso, and his head need to be buried in separate spots to ensure that he will not come back from the dead to try to kill Kull and cause more havoc. And then our next page shifts, and we have people on guard at all of the locations where his body parts are. And this cult of this guy is sneaking up on these people, and they're killing the guards, and they're retrieving his body parts one by one until it goes back to the palace dungeon. And it says, Oris's disciples have been busy. They gathered all of his parts but one, his head. And the guards laughing like, oh, they'll be hard-pressed to get to that. There's no way they can get through all of us guards. But then they hear digging. And these guys burst through this wall where they have dug from under. And they kill the guards there. And the next thing you know, Kull is being awoken in his royal chambers. He's like, my liege, Dejmal's head has been stolen. And Kull's Balka. So you see here all the different guards being slaughtered by the disciples of Oris Dejmal. And they're gathering his parts to reassemble his body and bring him back to the world. Kull being woke up there. And it's nice because you always saw Jeff Isherwood drawing Conan, but his Kull is pretty fun. And so Kull's given instructions to his commander of the Red Slayers. Assemble the Slayers, find Brule, I need a tracker. Hotaf knows what those mongrels are up to. And the guy says the Slayers are ready to go, and Brule is already following a blood trail. So Kull and his guard are soon out the door, and they're tracing and tracking the path left for them by Brule, which leads them to the underground chamber where they are reassembling the body of this sorcerer. And the sorcerer is saying, hurry, finish the spell container. The spell container is weakening. Finish assembling me. And as they're about to put the head on, Kull bursts in with his crew. And there's an all-out skirmish. While the head's still screaming, hurry, hurry, put me back on. And the guards are saying, well, Kull says, hew them down. We must stop the monster from regaining his mortal form. And the guards are like, it will be difficult. They fight like animals. And Kull has a fitting response to that. We'll show you these couple pages, which are just fantastic. So you got Kull and crew rushing to stop the reassembling of the body parts of Orys Dejmal, this evil sorcerer. Alright, so the guys are saying they fight like animals, and then Kull says, then by Valka, we shall be as animals as well. So, and the guy's like, my liege. And they are fighting like wild people, just trying to get this. And the head is screaming, blast you, Kull, blast you to the blackest pits. And Kull gets this triumphant smile on his face. He's like, a place I'm sure you are familiar with. I underestimated you, Orys. I'm not going to make that mistake again. And the next page, we see Kull and crew out at sea. And he's got the head chained up in this metal chest. And you can still hear the wizard's head screaming, Kull, don't. I can make you a powerful ruler, don't. And Kull's just like, goodbye, Orys Dejmal. And drops him into the sea, where hopefully he will never be reassembled again. So we had like a fun little kind of a horror tale, mostly an action tale of Kull trying to, Kull and crew with his best guy, Brule the Spear Slayer, his right-hand man, trying to prevent the reassembly of this wizard and bringing him back from the dead in his human form, which would give him more power. With the success, and then dropping it off. Now, what I liked about these backup stories is, yes, they are a bit shorter, but it was given other writers that you didn't normally see on these titles, like Don Kraar, like Chuck Dixon. It was giving them a voice with these characters. And oftentimes they had, especially with Chuck Dixon and Don Kraar, you had a little bit of the horror tinge in it, which always added an element to these stories that I thought enhanced them. So really good, fun short tale. Not earth-shattering, just a good Sunday read. You're having your coffee, you're reading a little savagery, and you're having a good day. Obviously, that one wasn't very deep. Not every story's got to be deep. Sometimes it's just about lessons learned, and sometimes it's just about preventing something evil from coming back in these old fantasy tales. And that's all this was. A fun fantasy tale of Kull trying to prevent an evil sorcerer from coming back into the world. And what I liked about this tale is it still, Chuck Dixon understood the character. Kull is not Conan. Conan is not Kull. And you've heard me say it before. They have very distinct different personalities and characteristics. Kull is much more hot-headed than Conan. Yes, Conan will get the blood rage working. It takes a bit. Kull is impetuous, and he reacts immediately sometimes. Like, he can't control his anger. And it leads him down a lot of problems, down a path that leads to a lot of problems. Way more than Conan. Conan usually gets involved with people, and that's where his problems come from, where Kull's arrogance is usually the root of a lot of his problems. You know, he's a very prideful person. Conan, much more pragmatic, much more thought out, and therefore one of the better rulers once he became king. But that's it for today, guys. Let me know if you like the story, and until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code KEEPITCASUAL for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.